Part 3, Defining Your Price. Chapter 12, Pricing in Different Work Models. Remember that magical number of work hours we have calculated? Now it is time to use that estimated number of hours to be able to calculate your goal price. In the example we used, we have reached this number, 128 monthly work hours. Out of these 128 hours, we will be teaching 80 hours, which means these 80 hours being taught will have to pay for your 128 work hours. Again, irrespective of the numbers you have come up with in Chapter 10, just for the sake of keeping the same example here, we will use our model number. First of all, think about your ideal salary. Do you know exactly how much you would need to earn so as to have a good quality of life? Let's face it, most people today work to make ends meet and struggle a lot to devise a real balanced life. So, what I would like you to do is to write everything down. Your fixed bills such as rent, water, etc. An estimate of your variable bills such as restaurants, movies, clothes, etc. A percentage of your salary for investment, for instance, 10%, 5 to 10%. A vacation plan, which means a financial plan to monthly save a part of your salary to pay your bills, as well as to be used during your vacation period. You can find online example spreadsheets that can help you organize these numbers. Now that you have the numbers, think about your salary today and what your ideal salary would be like. Don't be afraid of thinking about a good salary. Teachers tend to feel they are not to be greedy. Topic: Working one-to-one. After having considered some aspects of your reality, let's use a fictional salary here for us to work on. 5,000. I will not use any currencies in particular. What we will consider here is solely the calculus. So don't bother converting these numbers. You will probably have considered costs of living when you estimated costs earlier, because you will know what living where you live is like, being that it varies from place to place. If you want to earn 5,000 a month and you want to teach 80 hours a month, you can simply do this math. 5,000 divided by 80 hours equals 62.50. So your individual students will have to pay you 62.50 per hour. At the end of the month, you'll be able to reach 5,000. If your students take 1 hour lesson a week, they would be paying you 250 for the average of 4 lessons a month. Let's face it, it's not that high for premium classes, is it? In my city, this price is rather low, taking into account what people usually pay. Another example salary here. If you want to earn 7,000 a month, working 80 hours monthly, each of your one-to-one students will have to pay you 87.50 an hour. See, 7,000 divided by 80 equals 87.50. Monthly, they would be paying you 350 if they have a 1 hour class a week. Consider how much institutions charge students monthly for them to have group classes. In my city, renowned schools charge this average amount for students to share their classes with other 5 to 10 students, sometimes even more, depending on the institution. If you work for a school, consider how many people there usually are per classroom and how much these students pay for this course. This math does not change. That is why it is so important to deeply understand how many work hours you are going to teach a day, as well as how you are going to spend the rest of your day. Everything must be considered with the view of not getting lost in the midst of your finances. Topic: Working with duets. A common assumption of people who want to take classes together is that they will be able to pay half the price of an individual class. However fair it is to pay less than a one-to-one does, it has to be fair to us too, for two students will offer us more work in terms of marking and homework. How to solve this then? What I have been doing for more than 15 years now is a combination of both. Students pay less and I earn more. Suffice to say that this strategy is fair to everyone. We will keep on using the samples we have come up with when dealing with 101s. Reviewing that first math. You want to earn 5,000 a month teaching 80 hours. The calculus was 5,000 divided by 80 equals 62.50 per hour. But now we are talking about two students using the same hour of yours. So instead of splitting the price into two, you can do this. 62.50 per hour divided by 2 equals 31.25. But to make it fair to you too, add 20 to 30% to this price. Check it out how. 20% more, 31.25 times 1.20 equals 37.25 per student. You will get the total of 72.50 an hour. If your duet takes one lesson a week, they will have 4 lessons a month. Each student will pay you 149 and you will make 298, which means 149 times 2. That is, you'll be earning a higher salary than if you were teaching a one-to-one lesson, and your students will be paying a lot less. What if we use the 30% raise amount? See, 31.25 times 1.30 equals 40.62 per student. You get a total of 82.24 an hour. If your duet takes one lesson a week, each student will pay you 162.48 and you will make 324.96, which means 162.48 times 2. You can play with these percentages and prices per hour until you find a price that you consider fair for what you're offering your duet, as well as what they are getting out of your classes. At the end of the month, if you have 2 or 3 duets alongside your individual students, you will be making more than the 5,000 you had initially planned. If you initially planned a higher monthly salary, 7,000, 8,050, 10,000, etc., you can do the same math just by replacing the hour you had calculated. The same will apply for groups. Take a look. Topic: working with groups of 3 students or more. Let's work on these numbers now, still considering the initial salary of 5,000 a month teaching 80 hours per month. 62.50 per hour divided by 3 equals 20.83. Again, we have to bear in mind the fairness to everyone involved, so remember to add a percentage to this hourly price, for example, 20 to 30%. Raising the half price to 20% more is 20.83 times 1.20 equals 29.99 per student. Now, the beauty of working with groups. If you have 3 students, you will be making 72.97 per hour, which is 24.99 multiplied by 3 students. But if you have 4 students, you'll be making 99.96 an hour, and the fairness will work for your students too. Using the same example of having 4 lessons a month, each student will be paying you 99.96 per month, whereas you'll be making 299.88 if you have 3 students, 399.84 if you have 4. Let's say you decide to have 6 students in this very same class. Each of them will still be paying you 99.96 monthly, but you'll be making 599.96 a month teaching this group. How about playing with the numbers now? But instead of 20%, by raising your initial price to 30%. See what these numbers would look like. 30% raise, 20.83 times 1.30 equals 27.07 per student. So, If you have 3 students, you'll be making 81.21 per hour, which means 27.07 times 3 students. But if you have 4 students, you'll be making 180.28. What about your students? Using the same example of having 4 lessons a month, they will be paying you 108.28 a month, whereas you'll be making 324.84 if you have 3 students, 433.12 if you have 4 students, 649.68 if you have 6 students, just by teaching this group 1 hour a week. The sky is the limit. However, we must discuss the advantages and disadvantages of each situation here.